What's up everybody, this is Scott with Team 512 and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to fix an annoying problem with my C7 Corvette Grand Sport just by changing out the brake pad. Alright, so what is this annoying problem? Well, it's the excessive amount of brake dust that these stock Brembo brake pads put out. Check this out, guys. Now this is after about 100 miles of casual driving. That's how much brake dust is building up on my wheels here. It's an extremely pervasive and known issue on the C7 Corvette, particularly those with the 6-piston calipers up front, and the back ones aren't quite as bad, but well, yeah, they're still pretty bad. So we're going to go ahead and change out the brake pads up front and in the rear, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is. All right, you guys, the C7 is up on the Max Jacks lift, and I went ahead and changed the brakes out on the driver's side, and I can confidently tell you it was the absolute easiest brake job I've ever done on a car in my entire life. And I think you guys will feel the same way too. Now, before we jump into the passenger side, let's take a look at some of the tools that you're going to need to do this job. As you guys can see, you don't need many tools to do this job. You obviously need a 19mm socket to get the lug nuts off, a 13mm socket. Here I'm using a deep well socket, some kind of a pry tool to push the pistons back in on the calipers, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then I'm using two different punches here. I have a 5/32 for the pins in the rear calipers, and this is a 3/16 for the pins in the front calipers, some kind of a hammer, and your favorite ratchet. All right, so before I get started, let's talk a little bit about the brake pads that I chose to put on the C7. These are the PowerStop Extreme Z26 brakes, made specifically for the Grand Sport and the Z06, and the part numbers will be down in the description and links, so if you guys want to pick these up for your Corvette, you can do so very, very easily. Now, I run these same pads on my C5 Corvette, and they've been great so far. I have a few thousand miles on them, very low dust, if any dust at all, and I'm hoping for the same level of performance here on the C7. Let's take a look at what comes in the box for the front brakes. When you first open the box, you will see right in front here is the bedding procedure. Now when you open this up, you will see that you get new pins and new retainers. You also get another set of retainers. This package actually comes with pins, and this package doesn't. These are different retainers. So I think they basically just gave you this package with these retainers just so you could get the pins. That's very interesting. I've never seen that before. Now, here are the brake pads. Obviously, one set is missing because I already put them on the car, but you can see here these massive, massive brake pads, and that also came with a little tube of grease. So the rear brakes only come with a new set of retainers. You don't get new pins, and of course you get the brake pads, which are obviously much smaller than the fronts. And of course here is that tube of ceramic silicone brake lubricant you also get with the rear brakes. So speaking of the size of the brakes between the front and the rears, let's take a look at them right now. These are the massive front brakes for the 6-piston calipers, and these are the smaller rear brakes for the 4-piston calipers. All right, let's stop talking about these brake pads and let's get them in the car. So here we are at the front of the car, about to take the wheel off. Now, I'd normally remove it before I start filming, but if you're anything like me and you love tools, I gotta show you guys this. I just picked up this DeWalt brushless 20-volt impact driver, and it's an awesome tool, and it makes quick work of these lug nuts. Check this out, you guys. Lots of power, it's extremely light, it's got a nice grip, and there's a link in the description if you want to pick one up for yourself. All right, you guys, I am trying to get the best camera shot I possibly can of this brake caliper so you can see just how easy it is to change out these pads. Now, the first thing we need to do is get rid of this 13mm bolt here. And again, you can use your favorite ratcheting tool. I'm gonna go ahead and use this new impact driver. And there you go, guys, just that easy. Now we need to remove this bolt right here. And you can do that a couple different ways. You could pry on the head, or you can use a punch just like this and just give it a few taps and it comes loose just like that. We're halfway there, guys. So now we have to remove this pin up top here and the lower pin as well. And we'll do that with this 3/16 punch. Okay, top one. And now we'll do the bottom one. Now, to make this easier, just apply some pressure to this retainer like this. And there you go, guys, just that easy. All right, so the next part is pretty easy. With the retainer and the pins gone, all you need to do is grab the pad and slide it out. Now you can see this factory pad has a lot of meat left on it. So it's a bit of a bummer that we're gonna jettison them, but at the end of the day, I can't handle all of this dust. The outside pad comes out the same way, just kind of jiggle, and there it is. Told you guys it was easy. Now there you go. The new pads just slide right back in, but before we do that, we've got to compress these pistons in here, and that's where this little plastic pry tool comes in handy. You just stick it in between the piston and the rotor and give it a little bit of a push, and they go in fairly easy. You don't have to apply a lot of pressure. So do the inside ones and the outside ones. That's it, that's all you have to do. Now you can clean up this area here if you'd like, or not, and just put new pads back in. So before we put the new pads in, we're gonna wanna put a little bit of this lubricant on the back of the pads to prevent any squeaking. I just smeared some on right about where the pistons sit. Then I'll also put some across the top and across the bottom here. Now we can slide the pad right back in, just like that. So we've got the inside pad lubricated and it's ready to slide in as well. So there you go. The pads are in. Now we just reverse the process. Now the first thing I do when putting the pads back in is to replace this bolt first. So we're gonna put the new retainer on. Pay attention to the orientation. This piece here sits just below here and contacts the back of the pads. Then we'll go ahead and put the new pin in. And you might have to wiggle it a little bit and get it through that hole on the inboard pad. You can slip that under there and that'll hold it into place. And there you go. We'll grab the second pin. All right, we've got the second pin here. I'm just gonna go ahead and feed it through and hold the retainer down at the same time. And there you go. Now all we got to do is hammer those two pins in. All right, be careful when you're hammering these pins in that you don't chip the paint on your caliper. I don't have another type of hammer here, so I'm trying to be very careful. It doesn't take much effort, and the pin will stop. You'll feel it stop. There you go, when it's fully seated. Now it looks like somebody at some point, that was not from me, boogered that up a little bit. But there you go. Front brake is completely finished. Let's move on to the rear brake. Rear brakes happen to be the exact same procedure, but you don't have the bolt going through. You just have a pair of pins to tap out. And now we're using the smaller punch here This is the 5/32 punch. Just release some of the pressure here on this retaining clip and the pin will slide right out. And there we go. We'll see how easy these pads come out here. There's the inboard pad. And the outboard pad is taking a little bit more work here. You can also try pushing from inside of the caliper here, just like that. And you see that they came right out. All right, we'll use our plastic trim tool again, pry tool, and we'll just push those pistons right back in. We have our first pad here, lubed up, ready to go, and it slides right in. Okay guys, I want to let you in on something here. The inboard pad does not have a squealer on it. The outboard pad does. So you're not going to be able to get a pad with the squealer on the inboard side of the caliper. So make sure that when you're doing the backs, you have one with and one without for both of the sides. So now we can just reverse the process here by putting in the pin and the retainer. And this is indexed either way. So there is no top or bottom, unlike the front. So we'll just go ahead and pass the pin through. Then we'll feed it through the second pad and get it started here. Then we'll grab the other pin with a little grease on this one as well. We'll get it started, and then we'll just have to hold this retainer back as the pin goes through. Then we'll go ahead and line it up with this hole and tap everything back into place. So we just finished up the brake swap here on the C7. I hope you found it as easy as I did. Go ahead and order yourself a set of these brake pads. They are actually pretty affordable. Again, link in the description below. Go check those out. The Oakley giveaway is still on until February 29th, 2020. Link in the description. You can win a pair of these Oakleys I'm giving away for free. I gotta get a cold start in, and you guys know that in every one of my videos I like to dedicate a cold start to somebody, and in this video I am dedicating the cold start to Pat's Garage Online, otherwise known as i8Pat on Instagram, and he's got an awesome BMW i8 that he's done a ton of work to, so go check him out. He always leaves me some great insightful comments on my videos. So Pat's Garage Online, i8Pat, this cold start's for you. All right, you guys, it's been about a week since we swapped out the brake pads on the C7, and I want to show you the fruits of our labor. But before I do, I planned on putting footage of me doing the bedding in procedure on these brake pads, but the audio didn't turn out. So if you are swapping out brake pads and putting brand new ones on your car, don't forget to read the instructions and follow them to a T to bed the pads in properly. Now let's get down and look at this front wheel. So I think you guys can see that it is relatively clean, even though we've got about 100 miles on the car since we changed the pads. Little bit of brake dust, of course you're gonna have that, but it is nothing like it was with those Brembos. Huh, Chopper? Huh, Chopper? So, pretty easy job. I hope you guys found it as simple as I showed you and you're willing to give it a try if you are having brake dust issues on your C7 Corvette. These pads would be incredibly easy to swap out at the racetrack, where you could put on some more track-focused brakes, and then when you're finished at the track, obviously you could swap in your street pads for the drive home. I'm pretty sure that's why they made this procedure so easy. So that'll do it for another video. Thanks for tuning in and spending some time with me. Please
please hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave me some comments. You guys know I love interacting with people who love cars and Corvettes just as much as I do. Till next time, see ya.